welcome to a mini bonus FACEHAMMER show on
Hello.
book pre-order day. So obviously today is the Fyreslayer and the AUDIBLE pre-order books.
Slash yay fish, whatever you're
But One Boy Two Books. It's today. So you can pre-order your books today. Yeah, more than two by the looks of it. So
if
that or they pints of gin.
We started off the evening, the chili gin, obviously a wonderful start. If anyone is a local to Manchester and like me in their youth went to Satan's Hollow and then decided to return to it 15 years later, yeah, you can imagine how I'm feeling right now. But it was excellent, so let's try and be coherent.
Yes, let's try. So obviously done the two book review shows and thought we'd do a little bonus show where talk about a army list. So firstly, just like to thank Paul Buckler for sending through his list that he's been playing with for Fyreslayers.
Absolutely. And some insight with it as well, which is super valuable.
Exactly. So I'll just run through the list. So excuse the formatting because it's in shorthand. It is Vostarg, which is the lodge, which is +1 to hit and win rolls for Volkites when they charge. Then he's got a father on Droth, which is the Magma Droth, with the extra Rend, Axe of Grimnar, and fight 2 times Blood of the Berserk, which is a command trait, and the -1 damage mount trait, the Cold-Hearted Ancient for 360. Now this is going to be quite a common combo. I spoke about it on the review show. And I think the axe, I believe it gives you +1 damage as well. Maybe I'm wrong. Did I get that wrong? I thought he did.
Just on my way to it now. What's the axe called?
Yeah, +1 random, +1 damage. Axe of Grimnir.
That's efficient.
So makes him basically damage 4, extra rend, and obviously you've got the heroic action, which allows you to get the enhanced rune. So I think you can get up to rend 4 on that axe.
I mean, that's enough.
Damage 4.
Anything you could need.
So he's a bit of a blender. Going twice. There is actually an artifact that means they can't take ward saves, which it might actually net out better. Depending what you're fighting.
Yeah, well, the thing is, it's not whether you get to use it all the time, it's what's an issue for the army, which might be after saves. And is that enough of an issue that you're willing to just have no bonuses against things that you find easier for the price of the thing that is important against things that you find harder? So I can see that being the case.
Yeah, and what's quite nice as well, like, is if you the artifacts are really good. There's a lot of choice, so we spoke about that on the other show. So, but this is what Paul's gone with. Now the Battlesmith with Arcane Tome, which I think will be a fairly common thing, because a wizard. So maybe it's not quite canon for people who are particularly into the lore, not really wanting their Duardin Fyreslayer wizard, but there you go, you can. So I think the Battlesmith is the guy with the banner that gives you the ward save, which you can once put his Icon of Grimnir down. I'll just double check because I do get the names mixed up because they're all kind of the same.
Icon of Grimnir.
Yeah,
so he's the guy that gives friendly Fyreslayers units probably within 12 a 6-up ward. And he's got the once per battle ability.
And if you issue rally
on a 4+.
Yeah. So he's pretty good. Pointed him out as one of the probably auto includes in an army that has a lot of bodies. I would probably look at changing the Arcane Tome out for the Icon of Grimnir, because that gives you a 4-up ignore spells and then the spell bubble. Or an Obsidian Icon, sorry. So if you wanted to lean into anti-magic Duardin and didn't like the magic tome.
Again, maybe not the immediately obvious choice, but probably something that is a real issue for the army if you're playing it.
Yeah, and this is the this essentially is optional as well, because if you take this out, because this is assuming Warlord and Hunters of the Hearthland formation, but if you took Warlord out, then you could be a 1-drop with this army. So you'd lose that artifact though. So then he's got a Rune Smiter with the Prayer of Ash, which I'll have to remind myself what that does. So I think that's the.
That used to be amazing. Is that it was -1
Oh, this is the one that it's on a
or
4,
ASL.
which is pick a friendly Fyreslayer unit hollow within range, subtract 1 from wound rolls for attacks that target that unit. So
Great, brilliant.
yeah, and
You're
he's
always better off debuffing wounds than hits because people don't have way to
increase it with a command
Yeah.
point. Yeah, and the well, generally some armies do, but yeah, and then I think he's the who's the Rune
Biggie man.
smiter.
He's
Yes,
the guy who pops the unit up.
he also has a prayer that gives you +1 to wound rolls if you want.
Yeah, he does. The awkward thing about that is if you do it in the hero phase, if you popped up, then you went on the battle for the hero phase, so it's a subsequent turn thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think the issue here is he's got like 1 priest and he wants to be near the forge, and he's also got an invocation. But then if you're using the pop up, then you're not going to be there. So, oh, the Rune, the banner's not a priest, is he? Battlesmith. No,
I
it's
don't
not.
think so.
No,
It'd be
it's
too
the
much of a bargain if he
Rune
was.
master.
It'd be
Yeah,
insane.
I did think that wasn't the case. Yeah. So I mean, yeah. So I think like with the hero set, he's a kind of a weird spot because it might be that you don't always want to use the tunnel.
Yeah,
because
it's an option,
if you don't,
it's a threat.
Yeah, it is. But obviously, if you were going 1 drop with the tunnel in a scenario where your territory is half the board, you could put your forge in a very aggressive position, knowing that you're going to blop your men up. So then he's got 10 Volkites with hand axes, 10 Volkites with hand axes, 20 with shields, 2 units of 10 half guard berserkers, and the flame spitter invocations. So that's an awful lot of wounds.
It's MMU, isn't it? Like, apart from the 20 blocks, just 10 of these, 10 of these, 10 of these, 10 of these, and everything in there is going to perform better than people would expect.
So it's 120 wounds just in the units. So that's an awful lot of
yeah, it's
of wounds, high quality units. It's a lot of bodies. I did talk about an infantry army. There's obviously, if you didn't want to go Vostok, you could go Greyford and still be 1 drop, but then you could give the Rune Smiter and the Battlesmith artifacts because you get 2 additional artifacts which can't be put on mounted heroes, but the father on Droth could have your normal one, and then your other 2 bonus could go on the Battlesmith and the Rune Smiter. So if you were like, well, I don't really care about the bonus on the charge, I really want the I really want to have the artifacts because maybe you want to have the icon and you want to have the extra prayers on the Rune Smiter. I don't know. I think +1 to hit and wound on the charges with the Volkites is good when you've got 40 in your army.
Insane, yeah.
I mean, they're not particularly amazing in combat. You're like freeze, no run 1 damage for the hand axes. You can fight when you die once per battle, and yeah, that they're okay.
A very impactful first turn with them, doesn't it? Like you can pop up the 20 and just throw them away, and they will be they'll die, but they will die for over their cost by quite a long way.
Yeah, and we've got notes from Paul. So Paul said that he went Hunters and Warlords. He thinks Hunters, the half round is compulsory because you can always do the strike last command ability on the from the Fyreslayers, because the problem is as soon as you're not Hunters and you get roared, you can't do it.
Yep.
So it's quite a good point to make. I talked about the weapon choices on half guard berserkers, and I think the pikes are better for the mortal wounds because if you roll 6 to hit, you do 2 mortal wounds in addition, purely because although the great axes are rend 1 damage 2 with 2 attacks, 2-inch reach, I think you're just better off rolling dice and spiking 6s in the current meta with all out defense and things like that.
It's a more well-rounded choice, I think. If things were kind of more distilled in a particular direction in the meta, maybe they would be the best choice, but on par, I would agree for
sure. Then basically says he's got 20 with the shields. They get a 4-up save basics, 40 wounds, 6-up ward, 4-up save because the banner's in range. You can get them a 3-up armor save with Mystic Shield from the Tome guy. You can ignore rend 1 with all that defense. Rally on a 4+ is brilliant on them. So it's like his big anvil. He says,
die, is it?
No, not easily. No,
at all.
Plus, you can rally it back fairly easy. So, obviously, the Rune Smite is kind of a key piece. So, if you take him out, it's going to be a big issue for the army because that's kind of like giving him that extra power
Always been the way with Fyreslayers, hasn't it?
Yeah, it
The
has.
heroes
Yeah.
are so important.
10 Volkite's Vax is hit pretty hard. It says 8 fight most of the time. 24 attacks, twos for 1 turn. Could be rend 1. 1 turn 6 to wounded mortals. You can pop Father ability to make it even more attacks once per game. If you haven't killed a mega in 2 games, this is I have hit and killed a mega in 2 games with a charge from 2 units of these. So he's saying that there's enough output to kill megas, basically.
Very good.
So yeah, pretty good. And then he says that 10 half guard are a pain to charge. If you roll hot with mortals, you can easily take it out, take stuff out before they fight. So he's saying that they're
It's super underestimatable. The entire army is really.
and of course the super combo is the Rune Father. So he can get +1 to Rune Prayer, all out attack. He's twos, extra rend Rune, heroic action to empower it automatically. Once per game weapon, once per game extra attack. So 5 attacks, twos, rend 4, damage 4, 4 attacks, freeze 1s,
Ragnar.
rend 4, damage D3, and 7 attacks, twos, -3 rend, damage 2. And then you can do it all again at the end of the combat phase.
So much output. Literally like Kragnas's worth of output.
It's a crazy amount of damage. I actually really like there's an artifact rather than the axe. It's once per phase you get a 3-up ward save. So basically,
yeah,
the denial of a battle tactic where you go, you're not doing they bring it down or kill the general. You just go, no, you're not.
And you die, your guy doesn't die.
Yeah, which is the other thing. Yeah, so I think that's a very underrated, because everyone always looks at the damage, but I think that's probably more beneficial in the long run. But you can see here, I talked about a Magmadroth army. I talked about a Greyford mixed army with Stormcast allies. This is Paul's army. He's got the Flame Spitter, and I think the Flame Spitter is solid. I mean, like it's an invocation that I'll just bring it up because it's worth talking about that, because I think that in his army, having the extra ability to do damage at range, so it's you basically answer it on a free, but with the Magmic Battle Forge, you can get +1, so you can do it on a 2 basically.
Next to it, yeah.
And then you set this up within 6. It's got a 24-inch range, so it's basically 30-inch range from the thing. So at the start of your shooting phase, if there are any friendly priests within 6, so you've summoned it, so you probably should be, pick any unit within 24. This invocation roll 12 dice. Add 1 to the roll if it has 10 or more models. Add 2 if it has 20 or more for each 6, 5 or 4, depending on the size. It takes some mortal wounds. So, 12 dice, 4 up mortal wounds on a big unit. It's like 6 mortals. It's pretty good. If you roll 4 or more unmodified 6s, it is removed from play. So you might have to resummon it, but it's not really a big deal because you only use it in your shooting phase. So yeah, well, that's the other thing. Yeah. So
right.
I think other priests can remove it, but you've already had the benefit. So it's whether or not it takes up your prayer slot for the turn, basically, because it's a prayer to summon it. I quite like that. It's situational, but if you're playing against, even if you're just doing mortals on 6s with 12 dice with that range, it's enough chip damage.
Armies have a unit of 10 dudes as well, don't they?
Yeah.
So you're going to have a potential target for wounds on 5s, which is still absolutely fine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you could kill a mini hero if you got particularly lucky. We've all seen those rolls where you roll 12 dice to get 5 6s.
Very likely.
Yeah, so those regen saves. So I think it's a fairly well-rounded, decent army with some options. Like you've got the tunneling, you've got the Magmadroth hit power, you've got the Tar Pit, you've got the Half Guard Berserkers. It's all very solid. It can be 1-drop. You can use Hunters.
Tunneling any of the units as well. Like you could tunnel a Magmadroth if you wanted.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, and that's one of the things that I think's very good about that guy is he's so flexible.
Yeah, completely. You just include him. He's your last, because you're not a 1-drop in Paul's version at least. You save him until the end, and your opponent has to deploy.
So that's Paul's army list. So thought we'd take the opportunity to share that with you guys on release day. So if you want to get inspired for an army, there's an idea of how it looks at 2,000 points. Yeah, I think it's quite cool.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it's a really solid kind of foundation starter. We'll pop the list below, obviously, and then people can let us know their thoughts. If you'd be going in a different direction, maybe more heroes, maybe you should really like Microdross, let us know.
Yeah, but thanks for checking out this video. We'll catch you all in the next one. See ya.
In a bit, guys. Bye.